Hello everybody, my name is Terry Wallace and I'm known as your diet diva on the internet. Today's topic I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is from my book, Your Diet Diva Gone Raw. Can't tell you the chapter because I honestly can't remember, but it is something that is probably one of my best pieces of information I'm going to give to you, and particularly because it's something that I have always been addressing with all my clients for the past 20 years, is how to tame that stubborn fat cell. Now, here's my list, and here's what I will look for when I am assessing a diet, looking at the body in front of me, talking to the client, talking about the history, talking about any yo-yo dieting that the client may have done in the past, assessing the body, believe it or not, looking at where the body is depositing body fat, men, women, it's all relative. Now here's my 10 key things that I hone in on when I'm looking to knock off body fat from my client. I work with them, I work with what I know, and I will also work with a practitioner if of course they're open to it. Meaning, if I'm providing an assessment and I'm suggesting go get some certain things tested, I hope that you're a practitioner or someone that's guiding you can offer you the same support that I'm about to give you. So here we go. Here are some of the things that I have come up with, research, backup, information. It's in my book. I'm not going to go into full swing detail on it, but I'm going to give you the 10 best things you're ever going to hear and how to identify things that may be stopping you from dropping that stubborn body fat. Now, first thing we must know that women actually do have a harder time losing fat. Why? Because their lean to fat ratio is less than a male. There's also numerous factors that can contribute to any female that is having a hard time losing body fat. Particularly, women have a lower metabolic rate than men. They have lower levels of lipolytic hormone, okay? Higher levels of lipogenic hormone. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on that. It is covered in my book, but that is something that us women, we basically have more hormone factors that are working against us. We also give birth. We have a very efficient survival tactic when it comes to winter. We put on more fat than men. We have higher levels of cortisol than men. We are higher in our emotional being than men. Now, I'm not saying men are not emotional, but women naturally take on more from an emotional standpoint, raising concerns, increasing the cortisol production, increasing the estrogen production naturally. So, first thing that I wanted to address, now this is obviously besides me addressing the diet, the healthy eating habits, and your exercise regime. These are some of the things that I will actually hone in on when I'm looking for reasons, some indicators that will help me identify with you and get it into more of a solution rather than a problem. So the first thing that I want to address is, are you controlling your insulin? Okay, insulin production in the body, and I'm referring to any foods that is going to trigger an insulin response. I'm going to address when I'm assessing your diet. Insulin itself is released in the pancreas. Men and women have a pancreas. It responds to blood sugar levels. Insulin is considered a storage hormone and is the most primary job it is for you to know is it takes sugar and the blood and it carries to the muscle, and it then, whether it's stored in the muscle, the liver has its function, the sugar gets it, the fat cells then get it. Okay, insulin also sends messages to the brain concerning your eating patterns. Did you know that? For example, injecting insulin directly, this is just an example, into the brains of animals decreases the hunger and their appetite. Insulin itself is very responsive to single meals. It goes up when you eat and it can go down after you control it. After you eat a few hours, it goes up and it goes down. It may affect short-term reactions to food. It does affect you. Insulin levels are relatively easy to control just by making certain food choices. Consuming, obviously, fast digesting, high glycemic foods such as a banana, oranges, raisins, carrots, white potato, white pasta, orange juice, any type of candy, sugar. Now these are just examples of high glycemic foods. This will send your blood sugar up the roof very, very, very quickly, and then it crashes real quick. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but let's keep in mind that's the first indicator. How are you controlling your insulin? So I'm going to be looking at your carbohydrate consumption. Are you eating a low glycemic diet? Are you eating enough carbohydrates and not the bad carbohydrates? Okay. The next thing I wanted to address is leptin levels. No, not leptin, leptin. It is spelled with a P. It is a hormone that is made in muscle, stomach, fat cells, and a few of our other places in the body. Leptin is primarily made by the fat cells. So if you have more fat cells, you have more leptin hormone. Nearly every tissue in the body has some leptin cell. Okay, this indicates the leptin plays a huge role in everyday function. Leptin is an anti-starvation hormone. It tells your body what your energy stores are. Generally speaking, a decrease in leptin levels means a decrease in metabolic rate. Well, what does that mean? If you're not eating, you are decreasing your leptin levels. Well, what does that mean? You are decreasing your metabolic efficiency. Your leptin levels change in response to body fat levels. Have you ever noticed when you're lean, you are more hungry more often? Have you ever noticed when you put on body fat or you have a lot of body fat that you're not hungry? I know many clients tell me, particularly ones that are accumulating or have excess body weight, that they're never hungry and therefore they never eat or they never give themselves enough food. That is because leptin levels are changing your body's response to metabolic efficiency, the hunger hormone. It triggers you to eat and we eat, okay? That's just a little bit on the leptin levels. So if you're under deprived or starving your body, if you're on a calorie deficit diet, there's plenty of them out there, you will naturally decrease that leptin hormone that will ultimately hurt you near the end. The third, cortisol, okay? Cortisol is your stress hormone. This stores fat, the worst kind, a stubborn, pesky, nasty receptor that will store fat itself in the midsection in the belly. I call it the jelly belly syndrome, the melon jelly. It doesn't matter. It's the conveyor belt around the midsection. I can identify with the client without looking at their diet, without asking them questions about their lifestyle, just by looking at the accumulation of body fat. If you have high levels of body fat in the abdomen area, in the low back, and between the shoulder blades, that is my indicator that your cortisol levels are very, very high. This is stress hormone that gets released. Now, stress comes in many different aspects, okay? If you're worried, if you do not sleep, if you overeat, if you have road rage, if you have a stressful job, if your kids are causing you stress, if you're high strung, you have anxiety, all of these things, if you don't think you are stressed or stressful, think again. You may want to address the stress indicator and rate it 1 to 10. 10 being high, 1 being easy breezy and no stress. That's just generally, okay, cortisol. I would look at the cortisol in relation to the lifestyle and what our stressors, our environment are and what we're doing. Of course, my indicator is where is that body fat accumulating, Okay. Number 4, pH levels. Yes, are your pH levels out of whack? Believe me, this is huge. We live and we die at the cellular level. All the cells that make up the human body are slightly alkaline and must maintain its alkalinity in order to function and remain healthy and alive. Now, we are killing ourselves anaerobically when we're meaning lacking of oxygen when we are in a very acidic environment. When our bodies are toxic, we are not able to provide the oxygen into the cells. We ultimately have feeding ourselves an unhealthy situation. The body is very intelligent, and we become more and more acidic with the foods that we take in and all of the environmental issues. It is our body's defense mechanism that keeps us damaging acid from entering our vital organs. We are what we eat. We have to avoid certain foods that are causing acid levels. Try to eliminate, obviously, the phosphates, which bind to calcium and then prevents absorption. Dietary phosphates in our foods are commonly found in your carbonated drinks, are commonly found in animal-based proteins and dairy products. We need to really look at the foods we take in. Adding obviously a dietary calcium will help keep your body more alkaline. Eating green rich foods will keep your body alkaline. Following your blood type is obviously something we look at. Obviously the pH levels, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but this is something that I will address. Following your foods, your food log, what I'm provided. What are you eating? Are your foods acid forming? Okay. Are you really acidic? Are you feeling very fatigued after a workout? Are you getting more lactic acid than you think you should be? Are you bruising a lot? Are you feeling really achy and crampy, acidic? You know, some people can address it. They can feel that acidity in their tissues. It's often a painful, it could be your skin that you're feeding, but ultimately you're poisoning your cells. So without going any further on the pH levels, more importantly, my number 4 is, are your pH levels out of whack? The next one, number 5, and this is really common in women. Are you lacking in iron? Women, and I've worked with marathon runners, particularly women that have heavy menses every month. Indo-Canadian women I work with, very, very low iron. And you know, something that I do want to address, particularly iron, is, are you anemic? Have you ever been told you're anemic and you're taking an iron capsule and you're wondering why you're now constipated? And one thing for sure is iron transports the oxygen into the muscles, the muscle cells, where it is used for energy. Now, without iron, you can't make that ATP that fuels the body and runs at efficiency. Give you an idea, an obvious note here in fat burning. Think about the fire. Without oxygen, you cannot effectively burn fire. So fat burning is no different in the body. Without oxygen to the muscle cells, there is no supply for your fat burning engine. So iron provides us oxygen. If you are in fact anemic and you're not eating an iron-rich diet or greens, or you're not getting a sufficient amount of iron, if you have heavy menses, if you have problems, you know, iron, even a blood disorder of any kind, think about that. Are your iron levels too low? Okay, number 6, low levels of DHEA. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but that itself, the body's most abundant natural producing steroid hormone in your body is DHEA. Now, as youngsters, we have ample amounts of DHEA, tons of it. It's produced by our adrenal glands, skin, and our brain. It does promote muscle building, fat burning, brain boosting, energy. It is full of antioxidants, DHEA actually breaks down into two different hormones, estrogen and testosterone. Both stimulate the growth hormone, both in men and women. Yes, I said men. Yes, you do have estrogen. Yes, your DHEA levels break into estrogen and testosterone. But as we age, we naturally lose those levels. Studies also basically have indicated taking DHEA supplements, it can appear to control the cortisol levels, which can in turn stop the catabolic, which is breaking down of muscles, with a supplement. Now, some people would take it according to their doctor, and some people will take it according to their naturopath. All in all, you're feeding your body more of the DHEA levels that we're actually losing as we age. So check in with your physician if that's the route you want to take. But of course, when you hit 40, you're now naturally really starting to lose it. If you have a high stress, lifestyle, again, it's produced in the adrenal glands. So if you have a lot of stress, you will naturally start losing your natural levels of DHEA, okay? The other thing is number 7, fat phobia. Of course, I'm referring to the essential fatty acids. Most people, go through this whole fear of fat, but if you're missing and neglecting the essential omega-3, 6, 9, your body cannot burn fat effectively. I won't go into a lot of detail about that, but I can tell you that's the first thing I'll nag at when I'm looking at a diet. Are you getting essential fatty acids? Because if you are fearing the fat, you are really concerning your body and not getting enough fat to help you burn fat for any reason. Anabolic hormones stimulate muscle building. Good fats from omega-3, 6, 9, they help give the hormone the messengers it needs. Your body needs it for stabilizing glucose responses, obviously supports insulin production. It helps curb your sugars, it helps curb cravings, it supports insulin, it stimulates testosterone. There's so many reasons why essential fatty acids are beneficial to you. Don't fear those fats, okay? Number 8, a little bit about that. You've got to love your liver, people. Are you having bowel function, bowel movements properly? Your liver is a major fat burning organ that your body needs to be healthy. It helps regulate the fat metabolism. It's a very complicated process when I'm looking at it. We need to simply clear out those biochemical pathways that help help our liver pump out the excess fat, helps to detoxify, gets rid of all the toxins, the bile into the small intestine. If your diet has high fiber, this unwanted fat will help carry it out. The liver is so amazing. It's a remarkable machine. It keeps the weight on, it keeps the weight off. So controlling the liver function, making sure it's clean, healthy is the next thing I will address. So if you've got a lot of sugar in your diet, you have a lot of medications, you have even birth control or hormone replacement therapy, if you drink a lot of alcohol, you eat a lot of fat-laden foods, of course your liver is going to be taxed. So over time, we need to simply address the liver, and the liver needs to start looking for better ways to detoxify. You may actually find that your liver builds this fatty deposit around it, and it starts developing a cellulite situation on the buttocks and the thighs and the arms, and you can actually see and almost really indicate the lumpy and bumpiness of your liver and the fat cells. So, and you know that your toxins are ultimately stored in those fat cells, so the liver needs to have some attention. So the next one I'm going to discuss briefly is number 9, is your thyroid. Your thyroid needs to keep ticking. Absolutely the biggest problem for weight gain, fatigue, loss of appetite, cravings, and even the ability to tolerate cold weather, the slow heart rate, low blood pressure, any muscle weakness, cramps, depression, constipation, PMS, insomnia. These can often be a symptom of low thyroid function. So I do let people know, you know, when I'm working with them, particularly in the business of fat loss, check in with your doctor, find out what your internal thermostat's all about. You want to regulate your thyroid. Of course, you want to know where it's at. Is it tickety-boo? Is it something that we need to address? Do you have an issue with hyperthyroid sensitivities? Are you overactive, underactive? Are you secreting the two main hormones that control it? You know, your body needs to be burning fat, but your thyroid needs to be addressed. A lot of people do have an issue with thyroid. The last thing I'm going to touch on, and it's something that gets overlooked, and this is the main reason why I do a lot of my food assessments, and blood typing and live blood analysis is key too. It provides me with a lot of different symptoms. The last thing is number 10 is allergies and food sensitivities. Now, first thing is an allergy is really an inappropriate response by the body's immune system to a substance that is normally harmful. Food is the topic of the allergen, of course. When we look at it, we look at reactions. Some foods like wheat, gluten, dairy, corn, meat, byproducts are all poisons, and it ultimately affects the system of the body. And these toxins are stored in the tissue. They can cause water retention. Poor nutrition can cause, obviously, fat. Animal proteins are causing toxins, and they ferment in the body. Of course, all of these things, as over time, we accumulate. So we really do want to address a lot of the food. Food is the first thing I will look at. The next thing, of course, is the biostructure, and that's something completely different I'll get into in another day. All in all, this is something that I really wanted to bring to the attention. This video may be long, but I can assure you this is probably the best chapter in this book. Again, learning how to understand how your fat cells are affected. You know, that's it for me. It is in my Diet Diva Gone Raw book. It is a big topic of discussion, true to my heart, and particularly because I have worked a lot with weight management and insulin management, Syndrome X. Insulin resistance is huge, and obesity is becoming a huge problem in today's society. So that's it for me. I'm sorry it took me so long to get through my long winds, but there's 10 key points that I needed to address. So that's it for now. I hope I was helpful in perhaps helping you understand how to tame that stubborn fat cell. So check out my ebook for more of that. If you want to email me, absolutely, please do. Your Diet Diva on the internet. Have a fantastic